G'day guys, and welcome to another episode. I just want to do a quick catch up with you on how the caravan repair has gone. If you saw the last episode, you'll know there was a bit of excitement where my wheel came off the passenger side on the caravan while we were travelling between Sydney and Newcastle on the M1. I was doing nearly 100 kilometres an hour, and it just completely sheared all the studs off and rolled off into the bush. So I ended up having to come to a full halt on the brake drum. It was quite scary in the sense that we were right on the edge of the highway. We had trucks zooming past us doing 100 k's an hour, but got onto the NRMA real quickly. The repair truck turned up fairly fast, towed us to safety, and ended up dropping us off at a local caravan repair place on the Central Coast, and that's where we sort of left the episode at. So the following day, which was a Monday morning, bit of a funny story about the whole repair side of things is we went down there at about 9 a.m. in the morning just to see how things were going, and I wasn't expecting anything to have actually started or happened with the repair. There was lots of caravans stationary at the caravan repair place, so I was thinking we could be here for a week, we could be here for 2 weeks. Just depends on where he can slot us in, really. But yeah, on arrival, they'd already started the repair. They already had the axle of the caravan jacked up, they had the wheel drum off, and I was just totally surprised that they were already onto it. So we went into the office and started chatting to the guy behind the desk. He's like, "Oh, can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, mate, that's our caravan out there. They got dropped off here yesterday." And I said, "I noticed you started work on it already. That's awesome." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, mate, I had no bloody choice. The tow drivers dropped it off right in front of my garage, and I can't get my tractor out to move any of the other caravans around, so I've got no choice but to get yours sorted and fixed first, and that way I can finally get my tractor out and start moving caravans around." So, you know, secretly down inside, I'm just like, "Oh, you beauty," but I was all very apologetic to him up front. So, you know, Mr. Tow Truck Driver, if you are watching, thanks mate, you did me a solid. But yeah, he wasn't real impressed with you, eh? And so it only took about 3 hours to get the repair done, and we were rolling out of the driveway and back onto the road. So the other thing that I wanted to get sorted too was a couple of brand new tyres and a new alloy rim. The alloy that came off, I have no idea what happened to it. It just disappeared out into the bush, never to be seen again. So I ended up taking the caravan down to Tyre Power at Wyong, and what he showed me shocked me a little bit. The holes that the studs went through on the alloy rim had become a bit worn, and because of that the wheels weren't sitting quite flush when you tightened up the nuts. So he said that could have been one of the reasons why the wheel came off and sheared all the studs off. So he recommended that we get a couple of new rims and we stick one of the alloys on the back as a spare. So that's what we ended up going with. I bought a couple of steel rims, one because they were cheaper than the alloys. You know, I was looking maybe at ROH alloy wheels, but you know, they're over 350 bucks a pop. So we've already spent a shitload of money on getting some repairs done on the caravan. So I decided to go for the Steelies, and the Steelies do match the car. So that works out quite well that they are matching. And he recommended that we put the Toyo Open Country all-terrains on there. He put quite a few of those on other caravans, and I'd also seen some of the Toyo Open Countries on other caravans as well, so I knew they were a good tyre, and that's what we've ended up going with. So we've got a new brake drum in place, new wheel studs, we've had all the bearings greased, and it's all been fully serviced and looked over, so with any luck everything should be running smooth and fine. Now the other thing that needed repairing was our caravan step. It was pretty badly damaged when the wheel came off, so I ended up doing that myself. I just ordered an Aussie Traveller single step. Now make sure if you ever have to do this, you do your measurements. So there are different sizes and steps out there. So I did all my measurements, got the right one sorted and got it delivered. So the only issue I had was that the pre-drilled holes on the step didn't line up with the pre-drilled holes that were already on the caravan to attach it. So I just had to line it up, use some clamps, and I just drilled some new holes and used some locking nuts and bolts to attach it to the caravan. And now she's all attached nice and secure, and it actually goes in and out better than the old one, so I'm pretty stoked with that, eh? So everything's come out pretty good with the caravan, and yeah, we're fortunately back on the road. So I got loads of comments on the last video, and most of them are really nice, pretty constructive. A lot of people thanking me for sharing the experience, others giving me some really good advice on how to maybe in future prevent this thing from happening. But it's definitely got me thinking about how I drive with a caravan in tow. You know, I know that a speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour for anything over 4.5 tonne, whether it's a combined weight or not. And it got me thinking that maybe doing 100 kilometers an hour isn't safe. You know, so since then I've actually dialed it back a bit, and now I tend to sit sort of closer to that 90, in between 90 and 95 kilometers an hour. And I know it's not much less than 100 kilometers an hour, but if I get myself in that situation again, I certainly think that just a few extra kilometers less is going to aid with any issue that I may have. So popping that question to anyone out there, if you want to comment, what speed do you think is a safe speed to do? How many of you sit on 100 kilometers an hour? How many of you sit on 90 kilometers an hour? Be really interested to know. I do get passed by plenty of other caravanners out there, so certainly by no means the fastest person out there towing. The other thing it's made me look at is, should I be using my cruise control when I'm driving with the caravan in tow? One of the comments that I got was that you shouldn't use the cruise control when you're towing. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. How many of you use your cruise control? I have a bit of a bung right ankle, and I find that I sometimes need to use the cruise control because after pushing down on the accelerator for a certain amount of time, my right ankle is quite sore. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think is a good idea. Should you use the cruise control or shouldn't you use the cruise control? There were also plenty of comments made with theories and ideas of the reasons why it could have happened. One of those main ones was whether the nuts were tight, too tight, or whether they weren't tight enough. With the advice that I've been given by many of the comments now, I've gone and bought myself a torque wrench. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a very mechanically minded person, but I do now go around checking the wheel nuts, making sure that they are tight with the torque wrench. But also wanted to share with you one of the reasons why I think I didn't get myself into as much trouble as possibly could. There wasn't a lot of swerve in the caravan when it happened, and I managed to pull it up pretty safely. Now, in many cases, the caravan could have jackknifed, it could have even flipped, it could have caused a really serious accident. So in my thoughts, and the reason why nothing more drastic happened, is that all the weights in my vehicle and my caravan are all pretty much spot on. Before we took off caravanning a few months ago, I did get a company coming around and do all the weighing of the vehicle and the caravan to see how we were, making sure that we weren't overloaded and that we were pretty much balanced. Now, we did have a few issues at the beginning, but we've sorted that out by getting a GVM upgrade with the vehicle. We also got an ATM upgrade on the caravan, and now all our weights sit pretty much spot on. So I think if we'd had an overloaded caravan or a vehicle that was too light to be towing the caravan, we could have been in some serious trouble. So I know a lot of people out there were giving me advice through their comments in the last video. So my advice to you, if you're about to start caravanning, make sure you get all your weights checked first by the professionals. They'll bring the weigh pads out, put your vehicle on it, put your caravan on it, get their advice to make sure that you are legal and that you are safe. And if you get yourself into a situation like we did, you know that you're going to come out of it all right. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. I know it's only a short episode. We are back on the road, currently on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, so I'll be bringing a bit more of an interesting video to you fairly soon. But yeah, safe travels and happy caravan, guys.